Yeah, it's the SportLife Uncensored show. We in it to win it though. About to start the podcast. Yeah, you better watch that. SportLife Uncensored show. We in it to win it though. About to start the podcast. Yeah, you better watch that. Yeah, don't miss it. Cause when we shoot a shot, we swish it. Like Curry, you know we ain't never miss it. Sports info, yeah, that's the mission. Compared to other people, we different. Knocking out the other competition. Put them all into a submission. We don't tap out, we keep on hitting. 3 different fans, 3 different teams. Best sports podcast you ever seen. Noah, David, and Tyler supplying the finest opinions that's only real. They be providing excitement like when it was Tyson up in it with Holyfield. Just like Barry Bonds in his prime. They knock it out the park every time. Yeah, it's the SportLife Uncensored show. We in it to win it though. About to start the podcast. Yeah, you better watch that. SportLife Uncensored show. We in it to win it though. About to start the podcast. Yeah, you better watch that. Yeah, don't miss it. Cause when we shoot a shot, we swish it. Like Curry, you know we ain't never miss it. Sports info, yeah, that's the mission. Compared to other people, we different. Knocking out the other competition. Put them all into submission. We don't tap out, we keep on hitting. 3 different fans, 3 different teams. Best sports podcast you ever seen. Noah, David, and Tyler supplying the finest opinions that's only real. They be providing excitement like when it was Tyson up in it with Holyfield. Just like Barry Bonds in his prime. They knock it out the park every time.
We welcome you to another live edition of The Sports Box, your go-to sports podcast featuring great content, conversation, and your occasional disagreement. Stick around to interact and ask questions. Ladies and gentlemen, it's showtime.
How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? We're back once again with another episode of the SportLife Uncensored show here on the Sports Box Podcast Network. Took last week off because we do every Thursday, and last Thursday, of course, was Thanksgiving. But we're back this week. We got a lot to get into. But before we do that, I'm Noah Dogdobber, your host, joined by my buddies and co-hosts, David Dunphy and Tyler Rowe. How are you gentlemen doing tonight?
Doing awesome, man.
Doing great.
Awesome.
Hope everybody had a great. Doing great. Hope y'all had a great Thanksgiving as well as the viewers.
Yeah, man. Mine
was
was
better than mine.
Yeah, yours. Well, your team won, but you know we'll get.
That's what I'm talking about. That was terrible.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, it is indeed showtime. What's up, Jesse? Thank you for tuning in tonight.
What's up, Jesse?
But yeah, guys, do you have anything you kind of want to say, or should we just go ahead and get right into it right away?
Let's dive in. I'm ready.
All right, who's got the? I do. Okay.
Sir.
All right, very first game. We have the Dolphins and Packers. This was the Thursday night game. Frigid game. 27 degrees Fahrenheit. Wind chill of 18. And as we know, guys, Miami in the past has a bad history in these cold weather games down in the Sunshine State. It's always nice and warm there, but we see when they play teams like Buffalo, they really struggle, and that was the case in this game. Frigid Lambeau Field, man. Packers basically dominated this game from start to finish, 14-0 after the first quarter. I think nice bounce back game from Jordan Love as well. He's kind of been struggling a little bit lately with the turnovers, but he was good. Running game was good, and just solid home field advantage. And David, start with you in this one. Packers, to me, under the radar team because they're 9-3, right? But they're third in their own division because of how insane the Lions and Vikings have been this season. What were your takeaways from this game?
I mean, man, it was a good game. They like you said, they dominated the whole game, but they really dominated the first half. After punting the ball, the first possession, they actually ended up making the Dolphins muffed the punt, and Packers recovered inside the 10. Packers went on to kick a walk-off field goal to end the first half to take a 24-3 lead. They just dominated the first half. Packers kicked a field goal to start the second half, and Miami finally finds the end zone with a receiving touchdown from A-Chain, man. That kid's just fun to see. He's explosive and dominant. But they went from there. Tua ended up connecting with Waddle for the 2-point conversion, making it 11-27. Packers. Dolphins ended up driving all the way down inside the 5, went forward on 4th and goal, faked the run, and they ended up getting sacked there. Packers then drive it down yet for another field goal, taking a 30-11 lead. 4 minutes left in the game. The Dolphins drive down. This is just a crazy play here. The Dolphins drive down, score, and it was a deflected pass intended for Jonnu Smith. Bounced off his hands right into Tyreek Hill's hands for the touchdown. Tyreek Hill only has 4 touchdowns all season. I don't know if you guys know that. He's really been struggling to find the end zone. He's had 1 touchdown the first 8 games of the year, but he's had 3 in the last 4 games. So he's finally kind of getting a little spark there, but he's really struggled getting into the end zone. That made the ball game 30-17. The Dolphins ended up failing on 4th down conversion there. But that pretty much sums up the game. Packers just dominated, and like you said, man, they're third in their division, but that division's stacked, and they look like a very, very solid competitor for sure.
I mean, you pretty much nailed the game down to the minute. So I don't really have much else to say about it other than these quarterbacks went to battle. I mean, absolute battle, and Green Bay comes out victorious. So. Yes, Green Bay looks good, but the Dolphins, man, they don't look that great this year. I mean, I know they've had the injury bug, but this just doesn't look like a McDaniels coach team. I don't know what's going on, but for this season, obviously, I don't think it's really going to matter for them. So hopefully they can get this figured out next season and get back, because I enjoyed watching Tyreek Hill scoring lots of touchdowns. And like you said, only 4 this year is uncharacteristic of him.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah, man. I mean, a couple of notes for this game. Number one, I was impressed with the Packers defense. I mean, they took advantage of that cold weather. 5 sacks on Tua, 4 for 14 for the Dolphins on 3rd downs, and 3 for 5 on 4th down. So, getting stops when they needed it. 10 penalties for the Dolphins as well. That's never going to cut it. They actually had 33 minutes time of possession, but I mean, just keep getting knocked behind the chains with that. And, if you just look at the box score, Tua, 365 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interception. He had a good game, but a lot of that was in the second half when they were just kind of desperately trying to get back in the game. And a little bit of split stats for you guys, actually. This year for Tua, first half quarterback rating, 94.0. Second half, 124.5. And if you break it down by quarters, actually, in the first, he has a 91.3, second, 96, third, 136.8. and 4th, 113.8. So I think we're seeing a lot with the Dolphins this year, right? They have a lot of these games where they get really far behind, and then they got to try and get back into it. And I think that's what you saw with this game. The Packers, like I said, with that cold weather, just dominated the first half, just desperately trying to get back in it. And they can't do it. You mentioned, the failed 4th down and whatnot. They also couldn't run the ball at all, 2.8 yards per carry, whereas Green Bay, even though Josh Jacobs got held to 2.3, guys like Chris Brooks, Emmanuel Wilson, and even Jaden Reed had a little trick play for 23 yards. Help keeping that offense balanced. Tucker Kraft as well, by the way, man. What an underrated tight end this guy has become.
Yeah.
6 catches in this one. Jaden Reed only had 3 catches, but 2 touchdowns. I mean, this is what a good team does, right? They're able to win at home against a team that looks a bit in disarray. I mean, they're 5-7. They're not eliminated yet, right? But they've had their issues all year. You mentioned Tyreek Hill being, okay. Like, he's 27th in the NFL this year in receiving yards, which that's not what you would expect from him at all. Only 4 touchdowns, like you said. But good win for the Packers. Just, convincing all around, I think. Not much else you need to say about it, really.
No, not really. That'll take us into the next game, and I'm very interested to get your take on this one, Noah.
Steelers Bengals, right?
Yeah, we'll skip to that.
Okay.
Chargers 17, Falcons 13. Man, what happened?
Man, what happened is, in all seriousness, guys, I'd never like to try and put a loss on just one player, because we all know it's a team game, right? 53. You have 22 starters, 53 or 54, whatever it is now on the active roster. But there's no nice to say it. The only reason the Falcons lost this game is because of Kirk Cousins. I mean, 4 interceptions, no touchdowns, 40 quarterback rating. He only got sacked once in this game, guys. And when did it happen? On the last drive, when they were actually trying to drive down and win the game, he takes a sack. Offensive line actually held up pretty decently. They couldn't run the ball. 3.1 yards per carry on the night, but Bijan, to his credit, did have 102, all because he had 26 carries. Got in the end zone, had a big touchdown run. But this is one of those games where the Falcons should have won, and I'm not just saying that because I'm a homer. I mean, I think this is a game they should win 9 times out of 10, guys. 24 first downs to 10, 77 plays to only 46. Both teams were trash on third down. 3 of 11 for the Chargers, 3 for 14 runs. We had 4 fourth down attempts. We failed on 2 of them. We had, almost double the amount of yards they did. Neither offense was doing anything. They had 7 penalties compared to 2. And it all comes down to you lose the turnover battle 4-1, and that's all down to Kirk Cousins. I like a good bits of what I've seen from him this year, but I mean, the one game and you guys know I've been talking about how bad our defense has been lately, right? Our defense was perfectly fine this game. And then go figure, Kirk Cousins decides to have one of the worst games, if not the worst game, of his entire career. I mean, both offenses couldn't really do much. But yeah, I mean, there's just no nice thing to say. And I mean, I guess another negative I could say is Darnell Mooney only had 3 receptions for 20 yards. That
was surprising.
Our leading receivers were Ray McLeod and Drake London. But again, I mean, this is a game they should have won, and they didn't. And they're down to 6-6. They're lucky that the NFC South is really not very good this year. I will say one positive is after the Vikings game, which they're going to lose, their last 4 games are all very winnable. I made a post about that a couple days ago. I said in a joking manner, of course, that they're going to lose the Vikings 35-6. But this was a game that, you would feel much better about a team, right, if they're 7-5 instead of 6-6. And this was one of those toss-up games that they had every chance to win. And, I give the Chargers defense credit, but at the same time, at least 2 or 3 of those interceptions just had absolutely no chance of being completed, right? The Derwin one, I mean, he was right in front of the receiver. He just did not look sharp at all. And I remember, 2 weeks ago, guys, we had a comment, right, about Michael Penix. And, after that first bad game he had against the Saints, it was like, is it time to put Michael Penix in? And I said, absolutely not. Well, now I'm not saying I would make the call to bench Kirk Cousins, but I would not be surprised, right, if we saw some of Mike Penix the last 5 games of the season. If he keeps playing like this, and David, you mentioned the stats, so I'll go ahead and mention it before you get to it. Last 3 games for Kirk Cousins, 0 touchdown passes, 6 interceptions. That's embarrassing for a guy making as much as he is. And it's hard to believe this is the same guy that just, a month and a half ago, guys, passed for 505 yards in 1 game. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's unfortunate. Am I surprised? No, because the Falcons love to troll me as much as they possibly can. But, yeah, unfortunate L for sure.
I agree with everything that you said. I'm just gonna, for those who didn't watch the game, I'm gonna break it down a little bit. Falcons actually had a really solid first drive. They couldn't get into the end zone, but man, I know you said Cousins is the sole reason y'all lost this game, but I gotta kind of give a little credit to Young Ho on that as well. He missed yet another field goal. Falcons defense then caused a fumble. And then Bijan, ended up rushing his touchdown to score first. Chargers moved down, fumble again, but they actually ended up recovering it. They got on the board with a field goal. Cousins throws an interception at the 31-yard line intended for Drake London. Chargers' first takeaway in 4 games, actually, which is kind of surprising. Chargers drive down the field, settle for a field goal. Cousins is thrown. I'm going to go ahead and repeat what you said. Cousins is now thrown for 6 interceptions to 3 touchdowns, or 0 touchdowns his last 3 games. Man, that's wild to me. But after a couple more by the Chargers, the Falcons drove down, and Young Ho remembered how to kick a field goal. He ended up kicking the field goal, taking the 10-9 lead. After a 3-and-out by Cousins, begins to struggle through the air, throwing a pick 6 on 4th and 5, ran back by Tarheeb Steele on a 62-yard interception for a pick 6. Chargers goes for 2, and Herbert throws a rocket to Palmer to take the 17-10 lead with less than 2 minutes remaining. Cousins will go on to connect with Ray McLeod, who actually, man, he's a really solid number 3. I think. I mean, he's shifty, and he's a solid receiver for sure. But connects with Ray McLeod for a 63-yard catch and run down inside the 10. Falcons end up kicking the field goal, narrowing the Chargers' lead 17-13. With the Chargers struggling to move back, being forced to punt, Cousins leads the Falcons down to the red zone, only to throw yet another interception to former Saints safety Marcus May. Chargers yet again punt the ball, only for Kirk Cousins to drive down the field to give the Falcons false hope in the fourth quarter with his 4th interception of the game, picked by Derwin James to seal the game. So, man, he just, like you mentioned, he had probably his worst game of his career. I don't think it's time to bench him, but he's kind of he is. I would say he's on the hot seat in that manner. He's got to get his shit together, or if they end up losing first place or getting out of first place in the division, it might be time for to see some Penix action there. So. Tough loss for the Falcons. Good win for the Chargers, but pretty rough game to watch there.
Can y'all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. It doesn't show that I'm on stage. Okay. All right, that's weird. Another technical difficulty for the night, guys. Lovely.
Yep. Go figure.
All right. You pretty much nailed it, David, and I'm glad you pronounced his name because I was probably going to butcher it, that rookie corner. But what a game by that kid. 2 interceptions, 1 to the house. And, I mean, you pretty much said it, Noah. 4 interceptions are going to cut it. And that joke you made about losing 35-6, with 4 interceptions against Minnesota, that might happen.
Yeah.
He's got to do better. Yeah, I would, not even being a Falcon fan, would like to see Penix come in just for the Falcon fans. But, I mean, it's happening a little earlier than usual, but this isn't out of the blue for Kirk. Playing towards the end of the season, it's always been the hex on him is, can he play well in the postseason? Well, maybe he shut it down a little early this year, but I guess we'll see how he finishes it up. Great game by the Chargers. I'll give it to him. That defense is stout, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the Chargers do the rest of the year.
Man, I'm just getting lit up in the comments right now. It's not fun to see. Yep, I saw that one, Jesse. I appreciate it, buddy. Appreciate that one, man. Hey, you could 400K. I'd take that for that type of Kirk Cousins performance instead of 40 million or whatever it is.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, guys, on to the next game here. Steelers versus Bengals. Steelers 44, Bengals 38. Hell of a shootout. Man, Joe Burrow is just going to, lead his team to 35 points every week and just lose every game, huh?
Dude.
It's freaking insane. Tyler, why don't you go and start us off with this game here, man? What was your take on it?
Crazy. This dude is doing everything he possibly can to help this team win, and it's just not working. I mean, this dude threw for – I mean, him and Russell Wilson actually had pretty identical stats other than the 100-yard difference that Russell Wilson threw for. But, I mean, they threw for the same amount of attempts, same touchdowns, same interceptions. Only difference is I guess Russell Wilson got a little bit more help because, I mean, their defense didn't show up either. I mean, this was just a quarterback battle. The stats were ridiculous, and Joe Burrow needs to get out of Cincy. If they're not going to get rid of Zach Thomas and get a coach that's going to help him win games and build around him, he's going to have to go somewhere else, or we're going to see another quarterback's career ruined by a shitty team.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's all I've really got to say. Is just Joe Burrow needs to leave, and the Steelers have shocked the shit out of me this year. I did not expect to see them at 9-3 at this part of the season.
Man, I've got a lot to say on this one. First of all, look, I know Joe Burrow went to college at LSU, but he needs to stop freaking replicating Louisiana quarterbacks this much because to me, he's looking like 2014 Drew Brees right about now.
Mm-hmm.
Balling absolutely out, man. He's got the weapons and everything. The offense is killing it. And once again, it's the defense. Look, I'm not going to get into the defense again. We've done this for weeks now. The defense is just unbelievably atrocious. I actually want to talk about the Steelers more in this game, guys. And I want to give one guy major credit, and that's Russell Wilson, man. He is having a career revival with Pittsburgh. You know, it was only just when he was in Denver, it felt like people were writing him off, that his career was over and whatnot. And it's weird, right? Because it's one of those things, you know, we're seeing what Sean Payton has done with Bo Nix this year. He's still got it. I think it was just one of those things where, you know, they didn't click together. Payton never wanted him. But they both still have it because we're seeing what he's doing with a little scenery change. And you mentioned over 400 yards. He has a 104 quarterback rating this year, which is the best since he's left Seattle. 10 touchdowns to only 3 interceptions. 29 of 38, 3 touchdowns, 126 quarterback rating in this game, guys. And I think also you obviously have to give credit to Mike Tomlin. I mean, this guy's coaching is just unfreaking real.
Yes, it is.
I think everyone kind of expects the Steelers to always be in it, but the fact they're 9-3, they're 5-2 in away games. And their defense is only allowing, you know, like 19 points per game as well. You had an offense to that, guys. They were running the ball. They were passing it all over the place. Freiermuth and Pickens. I mean, they had 4 guys with more than 50 yards receiving, spreading the ball around. But I also want to bring up, because I remember as like our very first show, David, I remember us briefly talking about this with Justin Fields, right? How their offense with Justin Fields was, you know, taking care of the ball, doing the basics. But if they got into a game where they needed to win a shootout, could they win a shootout?
Mm-hmm.
With Russell Wilson, they just showed they can win a shootout. And when you add that to a team that has, I'd say a top 3 to 5 defense like Pittsburgh has, you had the running game they have. They have the 1-2 punch. They have solid skills positions, maybe not elite guys, but, you know, a bunch of solid guys. And Russell Wilson doing his thing, man. Dark horse team for sure. I think they're the most underrated 9-3 team I can remember in a long time. It doesn't feel like they're 9-3 with, you know, how little coverage they get. But then you see them, and look, I know since he's in disarray and whatnot, but this is not a team you expect to put up 44 points on the board, 525 yards of offense, whatever it was. So, I mean, big credit to them, man. This was a really impressive win to me.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And this was one of my favorite games to watch just because, I mean, the defenses, neither one were great, to be honest with you. But, I mean, just a fun offensive shootout back and forth. Reminded me of the Breeze and Eli Manning game, just back and forth battle. Bengals ended up punting, you know, on their first drive. But, you know, Wilson didn't start out hot. Yeah, he won the throwdown there, but he ended up actually throwing a pick 6 on his first drive there. Now he did respond pretty quickly. He ended up driving down, connecting with Pickens on the 17-yard touchdown. Beautiful dime there. Steelers lead a beautiful drive to end the touchdown from Wilson to Calvin Austin. He's a pretty good receiver too, man. He's fun to watch. He kind of reminds me of McLeod, like y'all have. Just kind of shifty and quick as well. What's that?
I said just very shifty and quick.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. But like I said, back and forth game. Najee Harris had a pretty solid game as well. Just fun to see. Burrow, he ended up driving down, narrowing the score to 44-38. They go for the onside kick. They don't get it. But just typical fashion right now with Burrow and the Bengals, man. They score all the points that you would want, but they can't finish the game out. And it's that's just kind of the Bengals identity right now. They just can't close out games. So good game for the Steelers. Like you said, man, Tomlin's just a fucking hell of a coach. He knows how to win. If correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think he's had less than a 9-win season. Is that correct?
Tomlin has never had a losing season. So
that's just that I know. Yeah,
I think he's gone 8-8, but I don't think he's never had a losing season.
Right,
sure.
Right. I mean, it's incredible. He does a great job coaching there. But yeah, man, tough loss for the Bengals. I hate seeing Burrow, in a situation like that. Like you said, it does remind you of like the 2014-17 Breeze years where you just can't do enough. So good win for the Steelers there, and they are kind of flying under the radar there. So it's going to be an interesting playoff season for sure.
Dare I say, the two most underrated teams in the NFL right now, the Steelers and Packers, both 9-3, but they're in those divisions. So, flying a little under the radar. All right, guys, moving on to the next game, which also involves an AFC North team. This was a battle of two Super Bowl contenders, and unfortunately, I got to be honest, this game was a total letdown. Eagles 2014, Ravens 19. It was not that close. The Ravens scored a touchdown with 3 seconds left to make it look close, and actually was. Eagles were in control pretty much the entirety of this game. Tyler, let's start with you on this one, man. Eagles are now 10-2, and after that kind of slow start, they have been killing it lately. And then the Ravens, who, we were just talking about 2 or 3 weeks ago as our best team in the AFC, they're now 8-5, man, gone on a little bit of a skid. What were your take? And this was a game in Baltimore as well that they lost. So what were your takes on this game?
Man, for Philadelphia to go into Baltimore and rip, and like you said, this game wasn't close. Now, yes, Baltimore jumped out to the early lead, but after that first quarter, it was just bad. Give Saquon Barkley the MVP. This man is on pace to break the rushing record. If we're going to talk about what an MVP actually means, yes, you can give it to the quarterback over and over again. But if you evaluate who made their team the best, who was the most valuable to their team, came in and made their team that much better. This dude's crazy. He's got averaging 124.9 yards a game. He has to average 121 the remaining 5 to break Eric Dickerson's record set in 1984. If he does that, I don't know how he doesn't get the record, how he doesn't get the MVP. But in a league driven by quarterbacks, I guess we'll just see. But on the other side of the ball, there's another guy who's right there with him, only 50 yards behind him, but got held to under 100 yards, which is very rare for Derrick Henry. So kudos to that Philadelphia defense, because since their bye week and they've made the secondary changes, they have been just disgusting and scary on the defensive side of the ball. And their offensive line just moves in tandem as one. These two teams right here, this was my favorite game to watch. I mean, yes, it was a letdown. I wanted it to be more of a bloodbath, but this is, you want to talk about taking football back to its roots? Two hard-mouth running backs, two great offensive lines just running each other down the hole. And the Eagles came out on top. So this time, Saquon Barkley seems to be the better running back. So I guess we'll see how it ends up. Very disappointed in the Ravens in the way they executed. Justin Tucker, one of the greatest kickers of all time, I think he's done. He's missed 2 more field goals this game. And now on this season he's kicking 70%. And before this season, his lowest was like an 87. So he might be at the end of his career. But
yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, I was one of those guys too that, once said Justin Tucker was the GOAT kicker. At the same time, when you look at it, he's been in the league, 12 years, and it already looks like he's run out of gas, whereas
Yeah.
Adam Vinatieri was in the league for, 20 years.
Yeah,
And he fell off when he was like 45. So, I mean, maybe he is actually the GOAT and Justin was just the most talented. I think that could be an argument to have as well. But as for this game, I'm glad you brought up Saquon because, in my opinion, this game had the two best running backs in the NFL this season by far. I mean, these guys are the top two in every stat by far and away. But the reason I agree with you that I think Saquon is probably actually my MVP pick over guys like Henry and maybe even Lamar is there's one thing that Saquon Barkley does at an elite level that Derrick Henry does not do, and that is catch the football. He has twice as many receptions this season as Derrick Henry, and he does more with it as well because he's more that Derrick Henry's more that power back, right? Whereas Saquon is that shifty, agile back, the guy who did the freaking reverse hurdle a couple of weeks ago. I mean, that was just one of the most insane things I've ever seen. But also,
has tree trunk legs and is jumping people backwards on the way to leading the league in rush. I think it's an obvious choice. But go ahead. Sorry to cut you off. It's crazy.
I was just going to say that also, even though, Philly is a great team for running back to go to with, their offensive line, their skills and what have you, not the quarterback, but everything else. I think it's more impressive what I'm seeing Saquon do with Philly because with Baltimore, this is a team that has just been built around running the football. That's their entire offense for 5+ years at this point with Lamar Jackson. It's just, you add in Derrick Henry and it's like the perfect fit. But they've been top 3, top 5 in rushing attack for as long as I can remember now since they've had Lamar. Whereas, Philly, I don't think it's quite like that. They've really needed to get because they had this running back carousel and they were always trying to find, we need a number one because, these guys like DeAndre Swift and Kenneth Gainwell and
Darren
Sproles, it's not the same. And, I give a lot of credit to the Eagles offensive line, but I do think Saquon has taken that offense to another level.
Absolutely.
Making two people miss in the backfield. So
yeah. Now, I will say, don't like their quarterback. I think he's not a very good passer. I think he stat pads at the 1-yard line with his quarterback rushes. I
was about to say, that's crazy. The fact that Saquon doesn't have 11 more rushing touchdowns than he does from the 1-yard line is
considering the stats he already has as well. It's nuts. But, great win for the Eagles. I can't say I'm a big Eagles fan. I friggin' hate their fans, right? But they're a great team. They're 10-2. Baltimore, I still think is very good. But man, the Eagles are just white hot right now. It's crazy. Final thing I want to say before I throw it to you, David. Little fun stat for you guys in this game. 5 fumbles between the two teams, all of them recovered by the offense. That's just crazy.
That's awesome. Now, I was really looking forward to this game. I mean, you're talking about the top 2 Russian teams in the league. Yes, we're talking about the top 2 running backs in the league, but you're also talking about the top 2 mobile quarterbacks in the league too. And I was really excited for this. Action Jackson hit he hit Mark Andrews in there for that beautiful touchdown. That was a dime. The Eagles really dominated the whole game. It really wasn't close. Like you said, Jackson, he threw the touchdown at the end of the game. It was garbage time. He hit Isaiah Likely. It was a beautiful pass, but I mean, you had 26 seconds left. It didn't matter. They just it was, like I said, it was just garbage time. But overall, a pretty fun game to see. I kind of like you said, Tyler, the nitty gritty old school football games, and that's what this reminded me of. Derrick Henry didn't have the type game that Barkley did, but Jackson also ran the ball a lot this game too and took a lot of his carries. So I feel like you got to factor that in. Jackson does run more than Hurts does. Hurts is going to get his 60 yards a game, but Jackson is going to get another 5, 6, 7, 8 carries that's taken away from Henry. And the way that Henry can still do what he does without those carries, to me, is just it's phenomenal as well. I also agree. I think Barkley is the MVP as well, but I feel like you got to kind of look at those things and take those things into effect as well as far as Derrick Henry goes. Eagles are good, man. They're a damn good team. Obviously, obviously the best team in their division. I thought Washington was right there with them, but it showed whenever they played that it wasn't really even close. Good win for the Eagles, and it's the Ravens. I know they've kind of skid back. I still feel like they're a top 3 team in their conference, behind the Bills and Chiefs. But it's we still have quite a bit of season left, and a lot can change in that amount of time. But fun game for me to see for sure.
And can I just say this before we move on to the last game? This is crazy. So top 3 rushing leaders in the NFL. You got Saquon with 1499, Derrick Henry with 1407, and the number 3, Josh Jacobs, 987. It's
just a huge gap there.
I literally just pulled up the exact same stat to say before you said it. So I don't have to say that now.
Yeah,
but like you said, David, before we go on to the next game, once if they make the playoffs, everybody's fresh. You can't sleep on a mobile quarterback and Derrick Henry. Yep. So yes, they're just as scary as they were, but this Eagles team looks really scary. But let's get on to the next game. This is going to take us to the 49ers and Bills. And before I pass it to you, David, I want to highlight this Josh Allen crazy stat. This man threw 2 touchdown passes, rushed one in, and threw one to himself. So he had 4 touchdowns on the day and had 3 different ways of scoring. But go ahead and dig into this one, Dave. Let's see what you got on this.
Man, I love snow games. I don't know about y'all, but there's just something about a snow game.
Especially in Buffalo at the Ralph.
Absolutely. And the Bills just executed it perfectly, man. Josh Allen was super elite in this game. As you said, Tyler, he had 2 passing touchdowns, a rushing touchdown, and a receiving touchdown. Guys, 5 different Bills players in this game averaged over 5 yards per carry. 3 of them averaged over 6 yards per carry. 2 of them averaged over 7 yards per carry. That's fucking ridiculous. And that's how you win a snow game right there. Allen, my favorite play of the game was Allen's little pass to Cooper and then him pitching it right back to Allen for the touchdown. That was fun to see. That was awesome. And that was just a sting. Wasn't even needed, but it was fun to see. Man, CMC, he just can't stay healthy, man. I don't know what it is. Everybody says he's a workhorse, and it's because he gets so many touches. But there's a lot of other running backs like Derrick Henry and Saquon and Alvin Kamara that get just as many or more, and they stay healthy. I hate it for him, but it's more than just the workhorse thing. I hate to say it, but he's an injury-prone player. And it sucks because the talent is so high, but you can't argue the facts there. The Niners are finished, man. They're done.
Yeah.
Their season is over. This is, I may be wrong, but I believe this is the worst the 49ers have looked under Shanahan, that I can recall anyways. They just look bad, but the Bills look fucking awesome. Are they the best team in the AFC?
I'd say so.
They beat the only other team that has a better record than them. So
absolutely, they look it for sure, and they have been hot lately. They kind of flew under the radar early, kind of behind KC and Baltimore, in my opinion. But I feel like they're kind of taking their throne there. Man, I'm trying not to rush to the playoffs, but this is just it's turning out to be some really good games that's going to be happening, I feel like. So good dominant win from the Bills. Niners just looked like they were lost and didn't even belong in there with them. Man, that was a fun game to see for sure, especially if you're a Bills fan like Michael Bradley. So I'm sure he really enjoyed it.
All right, he's fired up.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was about to say, I wish Mikey was here because I
want to know what you got on this one.
I was what was I going to say? Oh, yeah, I was going to say.
Can you hear me?
One thing that, yeah, I can hear you. Can hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I was going to Noah?
Yes.
I can't hear Noah.
I hear Noah fine.
Okay, so it's Noah's turn. Go ahead, Noah.
All right, I was going to say, when I talked with Mikey Bradley a few weeks ago, one thing we're talking about was how Ray Davis was, coming in and lighting it up, and James Cook might be the backup now. And I was telling him they should be a 1-2 punch, man. And that's what they were in this game. They both went off, like you said, David. James Cook, 7.6 yards per carry. Ray Davis, 5.7. Combined between them, they had 25 carries, 170 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And you add in the guys behind him, like you said, doing their thing as well, man. When you have a rushing attack that elite, it just opens up your offense, play action, especially when you have a guy as mobile as Josh Allen. 141.3 quarterback rating in this game, 2 touchdowns. He also had the receiving touchdown to himself, which was that was just crazy to see. Yeah, I mean, he did his thing. He didn't have to do a lot, only 17 pass attempts, but when he had to, he was amazing. But again, in a snowy game like this, it comes down to the running game, and they just could not stop the Bills' rushing attack at all. They also could not get to Allen. He was sacked 0 times in this game, which is always what you like to see. But on the other side, man, I mean, Buffalo's a great team, 10-2. Like I said, in my opinion, they're the best team in the AFC right now. They're undefeated at home. Again, it just comes down to, can they beat the Chiefs if they have to play them in the playoffs again? Mm-hmm. But against anyone else, against Chargers or the Ravens or the Broncos, those types of teams, I give them an edge for sure. The Steelers, same kind of thing. But again, it's just the Chiefs. On the other side, man, I got to apologize to 49ers. I think they saw that I picked them to win the Super Bowl in preseason. And they're like, all right, we have to have a shitty season now because, man, I don't know what happened. Brock Purdy has fallen off a cliff. He's gone from that very efficient quarterback to I don't know what the hell he's doing. Jordan Mason is now injured as well. I'm pretty sure I saw that. So that's a blow to them. You honestly forgot Christian McCaffrey even came back, right? Because he has 50 carries for 202 yards on the season. He's come back, and he has definitely not hit the races, ground running or anything like that. Their wide receivers also stink this year. The Ayuk has been out for God knows how long after holding out as long as he did. Debo's not really doing his thing. Their big standout has been Jawan Jennings, who's not a guy you'd expect to be their guy. George Kittle had 1 catch for 7 yards in this game, and I had him on my fantasy team, so that was great to see. But, yeah, man, they're in disarray. I agree with you. I think they're finished. You hear me? They're finished. Like, it's just over, man. And, they're in that division as well where there's not an elite team, but all the teams are pretty solid. You can't be losing games like this, especially as one-sided as it was. So, Bills, amazing. 49ers, man. Kyle Shanahan, he's not even going to have a chance to choke in the Super Bowl this year. Choking starting now.
Absolutely. And we're not going to mention fantasy football. You can go fuck yourself.
Thanks. Thanks for reminding me. Yeah. I forgot. Remember a few weeks ago when I sent you my new lineup and you're like, man, I think this team looks really good, but Courtland Sutton is pretty hit or miss.
Yeah, and that was the factor there.
It gets to Monday night. Courtland Sutton has to hand you that nice little L.
And it was so close for a minute, and then he took it out there.
And he had like a 30-yard catch, and it was over. I'm glad. I actually forgot about that. I was going to forget to mention that. Thank you.
You fucked my whole season. You beat me, and then I don't know if I've won a game since. So.
Love to hear it, man.
Yeah. All right, guys.
I don't think you have won a game since then.
No, I haven't.
I've been hot, man. I've been hot in both our leagues, which means I'll choke in the playoffs. But oh well. Good to see. All right, guys. On to our second segment here.
This is going to be blind stats. Pick player A or B. Noah, if you have our graphics, why don't you go ahead and put up your graphics, and we'll go ahead and pick.
Oh, I just put them all on the same graphic.
Oh, actually. Right on.
Yep, there we go. All right, which one? Who's going first?
We'll do Noah, and then Tyler.
All right, so mine. This one, I love this one. So player A, 249 receptions, 3,548 yards, 16 touchdowns. Player B, by comparison, 199 receptions, 3,331 yards, 18 touchdowns.
Okay.
I like it. I'm going to go with player B because he had more touchdowns with less receptions.
Mm-hmm.
And he did have quite a bit less yards, but those touchdowns matter. So that's what I'm gonna go with.
Tyler?
It's up in there. I'm going to agree with David on the touchdowns because it's really close everywhere else. And I mean, he did a lot with the less receptions, but I'm going to have to go with the touchdowns. That's what counts. So yeah,
you're both going with player B.
Yes, sir.
Do we want to wait to the end to reveal them all, or should we reveal them one at a time?
Let's wait a bit.
Okay.
All right.
What this? Yeah.
All right. Who's next?
All right. We got Tyler's. So let's see.
So player A has 215 receptions, 2,865 yards, and 16 touchdowns. Player B, 258 receptions, 3,435 yards, and 23 touchdowns.
Oh, great. I know what Tyler must be going the David tactic to where he picks a player he really likes as one player, and then the other guy that's
both of
the
these
better
players.
player. I got to go with player B, man. I think he's better in every category. He's got the more touchdowns. Based on the difference between the receptions between the two, I don't think their yards per reception will be massively different. So I'll go with player B.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree, man. Like everything you just said. Yeah, I've got to go with player B. I have to. And just to explain to everybody, these are these players' top 2 seasons in each category. All right, guys. Mine, player A, 220 receptions, 2,884 receiving yards, and 31 touchdowns, to 274 receptions, 3,130 yards, and 18 touchdowns.
Hey.
I'm going to say, first of all, I'm 95% sure I know who player B is, and I'm going to say fuck player B. Give me player A, man. Give me those touchdowns, baby.
For sure. On less receptions, all day.
All right, Noah, who are your players?
So player A, 2015 and 2018 seasons for one, Julio Jones. Okay. Player B. Oh, this is where I really love it. The 2000 and 2003 seasons for Mr. Big Game Torrey Holt.
Hell yeah. Okay. So Julio is A and Holt is B, correct?
Yep. There you go.
I like it.
All right. Oh. So my player A is Reggie Wayne. And that would be his, what year was that? 2001 and 2014. And the second player is actually his teammate, Marvin Harrison. And it's his 96 and 2008 season.
Nice.
Both of these players completely loyal to their team their entire careers. Played for one team. Great guys. I actually like both of these players. So
awesome. I do too. I like both of them as well. All right, Noah, you said you know who player B is. Who do you think player B is?
I think it's Michael Thomas because that's the only guy I could think who could have that many catches in 2 seasons.
Yes, sir. And every his highest touchdown seasons were all 9. So he never surpassed 9 touchdowns. Player A, I guess, from either one of you guys?
That's a lot of touchdowns to have in 2 years.
Megatron.
Nope. No, I'm going to give you a hint before you guess. You've talked about this guy quite a bit.
Is he active?
No. He his career was shortened. That's going to be a huge hint for you.
Calvin Johnson.
No, sir. Tyler just said the same thing. It's Sterling Sharp.
Oh, man. Really? I love that guy. Yeah. Oh, man. I should.
Dude, touchdown machine.
For sure.
Man. That was fun.
By the way, can I just say we need to communicate this better because I didn't know it was the top 2 in every stat. I just chose the top 2 receiving yards and then added all the stats.
Oh, I got you. Yeah,
yep, that's what I did too.
Next time we'll know. Yeah, I knew it would be different for each one, so that was fun. That was awesome.
That one. All right, guys, moving on to our next one. This one is going to be fun as well. Mount Rushmore. Last time we did college football quarterbacks. This time we got college football running backs. So do we want to? I guess we'll just do like one at a time, like we usually do. So Dave, let's start with you. Who is your first guy on your Mount Rushmore?
Man, so these aren't in any particular order, but I'll go in the order that I have them wrote down for. I went with Herschel Walker, man, in Georgia, and from 1980 to 82. To give an idea of how good this dude was, consider that he led Georgia to the national championship and finished 3rd in the Heisman Trophy voting as a freshman. His 1,616 rushing yards set an NCAA freshman record that stood until 1996. Walker went on to finish second for the Heisman in 1981 when he had a career-best 1,891 rushing yards before finally winning the award in 1982. He's the only player in history to finish in the top 3 in Heisman voting after each of his 3 college seasons.
Yeah, he's all right.
Player.
He's all right.
Just okay.
Mm-hmm.
Average.
I've seen better.
All right, Tyler.
Are we going 1 for 1?
Yeah, just go one. We'll go one at a time.
Okay. Well, my first one's Herschel Walker as well. I don't need to repeat all the stats, do I? I have the exact same thing. 33 games, 5,259 rushing yards, averaging 5.3 and 55 touchdowns. I mean, that speaks for itself. I think this man is probably the best college football running back, in my opinion, in history. So that's my number 1.
Man, I'm ticked off, guys. You guys had to go first, so I couldn't, glaze my favorite college running back of all time. But yeah, Herschel Walker was my first guy as well. I mean, you mentioned the top 3 Heisman stat, David, which I think is crazy because it's impressive to, finish top 3 even once. To do it 3 times and then win it as well in 82, also national champion in the 80-81 season, 3 times All-American, 3 times SEC Player of the Year as well. So every friggin' year he won it. But I mean, stats are just nuts. His worst season, guys, was 16 yards and 15 touchdowns. That's just absolutely nuts. The guy almost had 2,000 yards his next season, 49 touchdowns in 3 years. I mean, obviously he's my favorite, one of my favorite college players ever. In my opinion, the greatest Georgia player ever. But when you talk the greats, unbiasedly, man, he's got to be up there as well. He was insane.
How are you going to disrespect Stetson Bennett like that?
Hey, Stetson Bennett's one of my favorite players too, man. 45-year-old quarterback, baby.
I love it. All right, guys. Second on my list, Barry Sanders, Oklahoma State, 86 through 88. College football might never again see a season like Barry Sanders had with Oklahoma State in 88. While leading the Cowboys to an 11-2 record, he tallied 2,628 rushing yards on 344 carries, averaging just a measly 7.6 yards per carry, 238.9 yards per game, and scored 37 touchdowns. In the process, he set 34 NCAA records. For his 3-year career, Sanders had 3,556 rushing yards and 49 touchdowns. In the final game, which doesn't count towards his individual stats, Sanders also ran for 222 yards and scored 5 touchdowns.
We read the exact same article. Yes, because that's the exact same stats I have. I have the same as my Barry Sanders number 2. I'm very certain my 4 will not be the same as yours, though, David. So we'll just have to check that out. I'm not going to repeat all those stats that he just literally named off his entire.
Why don't you? Okay, fair enough.
Well, not to keep the trend going. My second guy, literally in order as well, was also Barry Sanders.
Yep.
Only because of,
I bet our 3's the same.
I think we do have 3 the same. I think the 4th is where it might be different.
Yep.
But I mean, you mentioned it, David. It's not even career-wise, he didn't have, what you'd say is probably the greatest career ever, but he had the best season we've ever seen, dude. I mean, this guy makes Mount Rushmore off of one friggin' year. You mentioned the stats, 37 touchdowns in 11 games, and then you mentioned a game that doesn't even count for the stats, 2,628 yards. For comparison's sake, guys, I compared this to Ashton Jaunty, right? The guy for Boise State this year has been absolutely going off. By comparison, Jaunty with an extra game has 9 less rushing touchdowns and almost 400 less yards. And that's not even including the game that you mentioned, David, where he scored 5 more touchdowns. I mean, look, the dude is, in my opinion, the greatest NFL running back of all time. And then he's a Mount Rushmore college football running back of all time. The dude was just absolutely nuts. Thanks for wasting his career at Detroit and making him retire early. It would have been nice to see what he could actually put up with a longer career. But
legend killers over there, huh? Well, they used to be anyways.
Not this year.
Yeah.
They're good now.
So do we have Ricky Williams for our third running back?
Oh my God, he's actually my fourth. He's my fourth.
Okay.
I've got him as my
Tyler.
three.
Tyler, why don't you go ahead and tell us why you have Ricky Williams there?
All right, I've got Ricky Williams on my number 3 for the fact that he broke a 20-year-old NCAA record. He broke the single season or the career 6,279 yards set over an entire career by Tony Dorsett. And this is super cool to me. Tony Dorsett was on the sideline cheering him as he broke off the 60-yard run against my Texas A&M Aggies.
Who was it against? I didn't hear
record.
you. Will you say that one more time?
Yeah, I think it was LSU.
Oh, okay. I think you're on there. There's Michael Bradley.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, good. I lost track of the order. Okay.
We're on our third here. Who did you have, Noah?
So I also have Ricky Williams. He was fourth on my list isn't really in order, but he was the fourth guy I chose. Sure. But I chose him because, I mean, you mentioned him breaking the career rushing stats, and to be honest, when I looked at the leaderboard for the guys that are ahead of him, they were guys at much smaller schools, right? That get a ton of carries or whatnot. They're like the focal point that like Donnell Pumphrey at San Diego State, but this guy was still like I think number 4 or 5 on the all-time rushing list. Mm-hmm. And then you look at his seasons, man. His last 2 seasons, he had 52 rushing touchdowns and over 4,000 yards rushing. 72 touchdowns for a career, which is just absolutely insane. 75 total. Yards from scrimmage, 7,206 in only, again, 4 seasons. 6.6 yards per touch. And by the way, he's doing this for a team like Texas, which is a massive school, man. Heisman winner in 1998, 2 times All-American, 2-time back-to-back Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year in 1997 and 1998. Ricky Williams was a beast, man. The only reason he isn't remembered better is because the Saints made a fucking dumbass trade to get him. Even in the NFL, this guy was an explosive beast, man.
He just liked his weed, bro. That's all it was.
I mean, let the man smoke his exactly. Hey, with the way he can run the football, I don't care what that guy smokes, all right?
It's crazy how he had that kind of career and the fucking Texas finished 4-7.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's nuts.
I swear to God, if we all have the same fourth guy.
All right, I'm gonna
go first.
I'll go. Yep, all right, my fourth guy is Bo Jackson, man. Auburn, 82 through 85. Sophomore season, he had 1,213 yards on 158 carries. He averaged 7.7 yards per carry, scored 14 touchdowns. As a senior, when he narrowly won the Heisman Trophy, Jackson had 1,786 rushing yards and 17 touchdowns. He finished his college career with 4,303 rushing yards on 650 carries for averaging 6.6 yards per carry. And he scored 43 touchdowns. And one of his most epic performances, he ran for 256 yards on 20 carries against Alabama in 83.
All right. Do you have the same thing, Noah?
I have this. I also have Bo Jackson.
Yes.
I do not have Bo Jackson. I did that.
Okay.
You go first then. Who's your guy?
Okay. I put in Doak Walker because the running back award is named after him. Now, he had a crazy career and he played at SMU, but during this time, SMU was a larger school than they are. Well, this year they're doing great, but because they had that scandal back in the 80s. But he was very versatile, so the running back award being named after him is a little odd. He had 2,076 rushing yards as well as 1,786 passing yards. But so at the Cotton Bowl, when they added the upper stand, they called it the house that Doak built for the reason that so many people wanted to come watch him play that they had to add more stands. And then just simply off the fact that the running back award in college football is named after him, he has to be on my Rushmore.
Yeah, man, that's a great pick for sure, and definitely a guy I was considering. I just went with Bo Jackson because this is the guy that was so unbelievably dominant. Let me get his stats up here real quick. 1985 Heisman winner, 2 times All-American, 1985 SEC Player of the Year. And he's a guy that he doesn't have the pure numerical advantages, but it's his insane averages, man. 6.6 yards per carry, 1,786 yards and 17 touchdowns his final season, 43 touchdowns, and 4,303 yards in 4 years. But those are stats that he has like 400 less carries than what Ricky Williams did to get his stats, man. He was just so unbelievably electric. And it's common for Michael Bradley, I want to say. I almost put Reggie Bush actually over Bo Jackson. Really considered it. AP's another really good one as well. Darren McFadden. Man, there's just so many.
There's a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. I considered both of them as well.
Tony Dorsett got left off. I mean, a lot of running backs.
Yeah. You guys don't understand. Narrowing down to 4 guys from all the players that have played. It's crazy, dude. But, yeah, I went with Bo Jackson. There you go.
Guys, the Lions just scored a touchdown. David Montgomery ran it in.
Oh, damn it. I need Gibbs to score. Come on, screw Montgomery. Oh, yeah, fun fact with Bo Jackson, by the way, guys. I forgot about this. He was actually drafted number 1 overall by the Tampa Bay Bucks. And he basically, and this is, one reason I got to give him respect for this, he basically said, fuck you to the Bucks, didn't sign, and then got drafted in the 7th round by the Raiders the next year, and that's when his career began. That's crazy.
That is nuts.
All right.
So on to the next one is going to be our sports trivia. I want to go last on this one because I want to see how y'all's picks are on mine. So let's start off with David. What you got on this one? Because Noah's is always the most difficult usually. So let's say.
All right, guys. I stick with the UFC here.
Oh,
so my trivia is: who has the fastest knockout in UFC history, and how long did it take?
No, Anderson
Corey
Silva,
Masvidal.
You were correct, Noah. George Masvidal knocked out Ben Askren in just 5 seconds in the first round with a flying knee at UFC 239. It was fucking insane. Askren went in for a takedown. Masvidal timed it perfect, hit him with a flying knee. He stiffed him he looked like he was dead, or he was having a seizure. It was insane. It was super cool to see. So,
you know what the funny thing I remember about? I remember seeing the video of it, and it's not that he hit him super hard. It's just he hit him in the perfect spot.
Oh, just timed it perfectly.
Yeah, dropped like a rock, man. I can't believe I got that. But there you go. All right, mine. Which NFL wide receiver has the NFL record for the most receiving yards in a single decade?
A single decade?
Yes.
Rice?
Nope.
Single decade. It would have to be somebody that got drafted right at the edge of that decade. Are you talking just 10 years in total, or it has to be 2000?
Same decade.
Okay.
2000s, 1990s.
Yep. So let's go with. Man, I really want to say Marvin Harrison.
Incorrect. Any other guesses?
What decade?
2000s.
I'd say it's going to be the 2000s. That's when the passing started happening more.
Mm-hmm.
Carter.
Incorrect.
I have no idea.
Incorrect. It's not going to be a guy. I don't think you guys will get this.
Deshaun Jackson.
Not even close.
I'm just throwing out speedsters at this point.
Any last guesses?
Steve Largent?
Nope.
Is he still active?
No, he hasn't played in
Antonio Brown or Randy Moss?
And both incorrect. T.O. is also incorrect.
Is he a top 20 receiver?
In my opinion, yes.
Larry Fitzgerald?
No.
Damn it.
All right, I'll give you guys a hint. I'll give you guys one hint.
Okay.
He was a big game player. Emphasis on big game.
I'm gonna. We got someone on the edge. Yeah, I'm out. I don't know.
He was teammates with another top 20 wide receiver.
Torrey Holt.
It's Torrey Holt. 12,000.
You love Torrey Holt.
Yes, I do. He should be in the Hall of Fame. It's a joke he isn't. But 12,594 yards from 2000 to 2009. That record is insane to me because, like we see from the comments, you'd think it'd be a guy like Jerry Rice or T.O. or Randy Moss, but no, it's because his prime started with the Greatest Show on Turf, started right in 2000, and then he was dominant for a few years, and then he was consistent. all the way until he retired in after 2009, man. So that yes, he should be in the Hall of Fame.
100%. I 100% agree.
All right, there we
He
go.
should be for sure.
All right.
This is actually a question that got presented to me by my fiance's dad like a year ago, and it just popped into my head today when I looked at sports trivia because I actually, like Noah, forgot.
I forgot, yeah.
Yes, Tyler, it is below average.
What?
I said, yes, Tyler, it is below average.
Okay, so here is the question. Across the 4 major professional team sports, being NFL, NHL, MLB, and NBA, how many team names do not end in an S, and who are they? Yeah, and I'm talking about not the city, the mascot, the logo.
Oh, great. Let me think about this. So NFL, Packers, Vikings, Lions, Bears, Falcons, Saints, Bucks, Panthers. I'm going through the teams. Giants, Cowboys, Cardinals.
Wow.
I can't think of any in the NFC, AFC. Bengals, Browns, Texans, Jaguars, Colts, Patriots, Jets, Bills, Chiefs.
You got any guesses on how many teams?
There's none in the NFL.
Correct. There's none in the NFL.
In NBA. Oh my God, my NBA knowledge is so freaking. Oh, Miami Heat, Orlando Magic.
It's 2.
How many are there total?
That's part of the question. That's the first part of the question.
Okay. There's not
That's what
many.
I'm saying. I would start taking some guesses on that. Between 4 sports, one of them you just said has none. So the other 3 have all of them. And there's not another one that doesn't have at least one.
Oh, Utah Jazz.
There's another one.
I'm not looking at the comments, by the way. People are commenting. I'm in our tab. I don't want to get spoiled. Let me think.
Hold on one second. Let me repeat the question real quick. Somebody asked to repeat it. All right. The question is, across the 4 major professional team sports, being the NFL, NHL, MLB, and the NBA, how many teams' mascots do not end in the letter S? And what are they?
Okay, I got
There's baseball, MLB, Red Sox, and
White Sox.
I think that's the only 2
Red Sox,
for
White
MLB.
Sox?
Yeah.
Yep, that's all of the MLB.
I'm going to do some NHL because the NHL is my specialty. I got to do some thinking, though.
Michael Bradley, yes.
Sharks, Ducks, Kings, Coyotes.
Lightning.
Rangers, Islanders. Yep, that's one for sure.
Avalanche.
Yep. Utah Hockey Club.
Yeah.
No, they don't count yet.
Okay.
Hold on, real quick. You said
Minnesota Wild.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. I think y'all are
Um,
missing. Y'all named off a bunch real quick in like the last 30 seconds. I'm trying to remember who y'all said.
he said Wild, Lightning, and Avalanche, and then both the Sox teams for the MLB is what he said.
Mm-hmm.
Let me think of. Man, this is tough. I want to get them all, so I'm trying to scratch my head, and my memory's just failed.
Did y'all get all the NBA teams? What NBA teams did you name? No, you're the only one who named NBA teams.
I said the Jazz, the Magic, and the Heat.
Yep. Okay. You're missing something from the NBA.
Okay, let me think. Let's see. Trying to think of the divisions. My divisional. Oh, Thunder, Oklahoma City Thunder.
Yep.
Is that the last NBA?
Did you say you said Utah?
Yep.
I'm trying to remember if you said this. There's one more team that I don't know if you said them or not.
I said the Heat, Magic, the Jet.
Yep,
so that's all of them?
You got it. That's all of them. There's one hockey team left.
Seattle.
Kraken.
Yep, that's all of them.
All right, my gosh.
There are 10 teams across the 4 major sports that do not end in a plural S. Good job. You actually got all of them.
That was tough, man. My memory just completely went out the window for the hockey. That's
Exact
supposed to be
same
my
thing.
sport.
When he asked me the question, I was like, I just couldn't even think of any teams. So good job. I got all of them.
Man,
Nice.
that was good. That was really fun. I like that one.
I did too. I liked it as well. All right, guys, going into our fifth and final segment here, SportLife's top NFL game predictions. We're going to start out with tonight's game, Packers versus Lions, who I believe the Lions are still up 7-0 there. Who do you guys have? Let's start with you, Tyler.
I'm not watching the game, and I'm just going to go off of what I predicted before the game. I'm going hard-fought game, but I think the Lions pull this one out 27-17.
I also have the Lions. Again, I know the game is on right now. I'm not basing my pick off of that. I just think they're a better team, man. I think both teams are really good, but Detroit at home, and even when Detroit was bad, they usually play the Packers really tough at Ford Field. So I expect that to continue. I think it will be a tight game, but I'm going to pick the Lions to win a close one, 27-21.
I'm gonna keep the tie going there. I'm gonna go with the Lions as well. I'm gonna say Lions. Let's see. I'll say Lions 31 to Packers 24.
All right, guys. Before we get into the last one, I want to actually show our picks from last week because even though we did not have a show, we did do picks anyway.
Yeah.
Put this up real quick. I knew I should have picked the freaking Rams, man. But that one killed me. But I got the Steelers. You both went with the Bengals. And then the other ones, well, picked the Cowboys and Chargers. And we all got the Ravens wrong. So record-wise, which you guys already know this, but put it up for everyone else, I'm still ahead 25-12. You both for 23-14, though. David has kind of caught up a little bit there. He used to be way behind.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I fell behind last week. This one brought me back to level with them.
All right, let's just blitz through this one real quick. Tyler, who do you have? Falcons, Vikings.
I got Vikings 31-20 for obvious reasons. Kirk, unless y'all put Penix in, maybe it'll be a better game. But Kirk's got to get going, back going.
All right.
I've been kind of going back and forth with this one. I kind of feel like Kirk might be wanting a little revenge game here, but I'm going to roll with the Vikings as well. I think it's going to be a close game. I'll say 31-28 Vikings.
Man, I admire your guys' optimism. I think we're going to get absolutely boat raced in this game. I don't even think it's going to be close. I'm going with the Vikings to win this game 35-6.
Oh, you stuck with it. Okay.
I did.
I know what you're doing there, Noah. You're not pulling a sneaky one on me. I know what you're doing.
Reverse psychology.
Yep, that's exactly what he's doing.
Well, we'll see. I'd love to be wrong.
Bitch. I know what you.
Oh,
you know what? I'm gonna try that too. Cowboys this week are gonna win by 60. That's they can lose by 60.
Don't think that's how it works.
Yeah, that's facts there.
All right, who has
so on to the next game. We got the Bears at the 49ers. Go ahead, Noah. What you got on this one?
Man, talk about a boring-ass game.
Right.
Bears are a total disaster. They did fire Matt Eberflus, which is good, I guess. I mean, that freaking clusterfuck at the end of last play ends at 35 seconds, and you don't get another playoff or even call a timeout. No. It was embarrassing. They had a chance to steal that game, and they just completely choked it away. On the other side, San Fran looks like a total disaster at the same time. But that said, if it's just between the two rosters, I think San Fran still has a way better roster than Chicago does, and it's at Levi's Stadium as well. So this is definitely not a game I would ever willingly watch. But give me the 49ers to win a ugly, 20-14 type of game.
Nice. So here's our first difference here. I'm going to go with the Bears on this one. I don't think it's going to be a shootout or anything, but I think they're going to pull it out. I'm going to go Bears 28, 49ers 21.
Okay. I am going to agree on this boring-ass game with Noah. I'm going to go 49ers 17-13. If the Bears win, I need them to do it by way of Keenan Allen scoring about 6 touchdowns because I have to win this week to make the playoffs. So in one of my leagues. But we'll see. It's not looking good. I think I got like a 20% chance to win. I'm playing the number one guy. So.
Oh, well, that's always fun.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Fourth game here, Bills versus Rams. Tyler, what you got?
I'm going to take the Bills going into Rams' house and just destroying them. I'm going to say 35-17. The Rams have a lot of talent, but they just can't seem to all get on the same page at the same time. Like either Puka's going off or Cooper's going off. If they could get back on the same page again, maybe. But I'm going to go Bills easily 35-17. I'm tired. I'm not picking against them anymore.
I'm going to go with the Bills as well. I don't think it'll be a blowout, though. I think it will be a closer game. But I just think they're a better overall team. I think the Rams have been inconsistent this season. Their defense has struggled as well, which I think Buffalo will take advantage of. But I don't think it'll be a shellacking. I think it'll be a game that's kind of close for like 3 quarters, and then I think the Bills pull away as the second half kind of wanes down. So give me the Bills to win this one, 31-21.
Nice. All right, guys.
Nice.
I've got this game going into overtime. I think the Bills are going to kick a field goal, win the game 31-28.
Interesting. All right, guys. 5th and final game. Big matchup in the AFC West. 8-4 Chargers going on the road to face the 11-1 Chiefs. David, what do you have for this one?
Oh, man. The Chargers defense, if it was playing like it was earlier on in the season, I would probably be riding with them. I think the Chiefs are going to pull it out. I'm going to go with Chiefs 28, Chargers 21.
I battled with this game all week. Literally, like, the Chargers are good. The Chiefs are the Chiefs. I mean, they're going to find ways to win games. To me, it just comes down to the one, like you said, David, the Chargers aren't playing the way they were on the defensive side of the ball. And then they have a lot of – I know the Chiefs got the injury bug, but they have a lot of big injuries on the Chargers. JK's done. So for that, I'm just going to go with the Chiefs, ride the people that know how to win, go 27 in a close one. Chiefs.
Man, this is a tough one because for me, if it was just based off what I've liked from the two teams, from what I've liked more from what I've seen from them, I'd probably actually go with the Chargers just because I think both teams have really inconsistent offenses this season. But the Chiefs, Mahomes has 11 picks. Herbert has only 1 pick this season. He's been much more efficient. And the Chargers have a better defense. But I gotta factor in the fact the Chiefs just absolutely own the Chargers. Like, it's not even competitive, and it's at home as well. And that's a really tough place to play. So I think the Chargers will keep it close like they usually do, but they just cannot get over that hump against the Chiefs very often. So I'm going to pick the Chiefs, unfortunately, to win this game. Lower scoring, I think, than people might think. I'm going to go 20-17 Chiefs in this one.
Nice. So we only have one difference there, right? The Bears and Niners, is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Nice.
Better hope
I think me and no, do we have every game the same?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
We do not
all
set this up, folks, man. We do not. We don't tell anyone our picks before we get on.
That's right.
We
I'll
sure
pick
don't.
mine
It's just
right
kinda-
when we're talking about them.
But yeah, man, that was our last segment. So good show, guys. Definitely some solid. Thank you to everyone for commenting. By the way, comments went absolutely off.
Absolutely.
I think
That
they
was
really
great.
liked our trivia as well. That was nice.
Yeah, it was fun.
But, and the NFL wide receiver one, I think that was really good as well.
Yeah, that was cool.
Do you guys have anything you want to say before we kind of kick it off for the night?
I mean, I had fun, man. Everybody tuned in, showed a lot of love and support. We really appreciate it. Just keep coming back every Thursday, checking us out, guys. We'll keep providing some knowledge to you guys, or at least what we think is knowledge.
Absolutely. We appreciate all interaction. If you could always continue to support our show, like our show, and share it with people who you think would enjoy it as well. We definitely appreciate it all. It was a great show, and definitely looking forward to next week as well. So,
absolutely,
Yes, sir.
absolutely. From myself, Noah Dog Dobber, my buddies and co-hosts Tyler Rowe and David Dunphy, this has been the SportLife Uncensored show on the Sportsbox Network. Till next time, stay safe, enjoy your football. We'll see you next time.
peace.
Stay blessed.